Alright, sorry for the technical difficulties. We had a little camera issue, had to delete some things. So we're just going to pick up right where we left off, and hopefully this all works out in the end. Anyway, like I was saying, human experimentation. Now this is something that isn't just new to the 20th, 21st, 19th, or even 18th century. We're talking Muslim, Arabs, back in Richard VIII times. They'd actually experiment on prisoners who were condemned to death. They would actually operate on them when they were still alive to learn more about the human body and the effects that certain things have on other people. So, this is something that's been around for ages. I mentioned the Nazis. They did experimentations on the Jews. The Chinese actually have come forth with experiments they have done in reproductive areas, trying to make it so more males were born than females, since that is a big issue over there still today. So, nothing new here. Now I want to talk a little bit about how the trials actually start, how they're selected, and everything. So a bunch of researchers get together and they decide on something that they're going to research. They gather a whole bunch of information on why it's necessary, what they plan on to do with the research, what their solution is, and how they're going to test it. They gather all this information and present it to the Food and Drug Administration. And they take it, review the information, and decide whether they want to give them permission to do these tests, if it's safe, if it's not safe, if it might have some sort of life-altering effects, to see what's going to happen. Now, drug trials are usually done in 3 phases. First phase is to test side effects. Second phase is to test how that actually affects the people with certain diseases or what they plan on curing. Then the third phase is a test with placebos, a control group, and people actually taking the drugs. I'm going to explain that a little bit more. Phase 1, this is where they get all the volunteers. Anybody who wants to volunteer to take these trials, gather them together and they give them the drug or whatever it is they're trying to test to see what happens to these people while they're on this medication. That's where you find out a lot of the warning, this may cause nausea, upset stomach, diarrhea, all that kind of stuff. That's how they figure out the side effects. Now, phase 2 is where they have people on waiting lists for these tests. They gather them together and then they take the medication and try it on them to see if it's actually going to fix what they hope to cure. And then the third phase is they gather a group of people, 3 different groups. One group actually will get the medication. Another group will have what's called a placebo. They think they're getting the actual medication, but they're not, to see if it's a mental thing. And the third actually gets treated with conventional drugs that we use to see if it actually is better or not as effective. So nobody knows which one they're on. So they can't say, well, I'm taking the experimental drug and I feel great. And so nobody is 100% sure on what they're doing. Now, the researchers are constantly monitoring these people. They're never alone. They always have somebody watching them during the night when they sleep, during the waking days, probably even in the bathroom. I never read anything about it, but I could be wrong. Now, this isn't just a lab where they're sitting in a hospital room, just laying there waiting for stuff to happen. No. In fact, some of the research that I've done, people that are actually on these clinical trials describe it more like a frat house. They can watch all the movies that they want to watch, they can play the video games, they can do this, they can do that. It's basically a vacation. And they actually are getting paid to participate in these trials. In fact, on a personal note, I know a lot of friends back in California, while they were going through college, decided that they were going to do these clinical trials. $560 for a 2-week clinical trial. They get done with one, they'd move on to another one. And there's actually people that do this for a living. They are human guinea pigs, literally. Okay. So, the most important thing that we need to consider here is what future clinical trials may be held to advance the field of medicine even more. I mean, think of how far we've actually gotten. We've gotten the gastric bypasses, tying the stomach to help people lose weight. We're working on artificial hearts. So heart transplants may be a thing in the past. We're doing new research into cancer drugs, things to cure cancer or even to treat symptoms or even make it lay in remission for longer periods of time. We're still looking for cures for AIDS. We're looking for all kinds of different things. Now, we need to understand that if a new medication, new procedure, anything comes out, they're not just going to say, yes, this is what it's for, and release it to the public, not knowing absolutely anything of the harm or even if it's going to work at all. They need to be tested. And that's why it is very important that we have these volunteers and these programs for people to participate in so that we can understand further, gather more data, more research, so we can end up finding a cure for some of these horrible things in the world today. All right, folks, thank you for your time, for coming to see us. Thank you for visiting our beautiful home. For the delays and everything else, thank you once again, and I hope you enjoyed.
Thank you.